Hi, welcome back to Regina's Crafting and More. I'm Regina. Today I'm going to have a video for you on how to stitch out a 4x4 filled embroidery design. And in this video, I used the Sulky Soft Tearaway Stabilizer. Let me turn this around. Okay, so I used the Tear Easy Soft Lightweight Tearaway Stabilizer made by Sulky. Now you can also use this Pellin Soft and Stay, which I use for in the hoop designs, a lot of in the hoop designs, and you can see how sheer it is. And then you just cut this away from the back of the design, no tearing involved, and risking maybe pulling some of the design. So let me show you what we're stitching. I'm going to be stitching this little guy out. And there's his friend. These will be available on my Facebook group, Regina's Crafting and More. You can do a search and find me. So let's get started. I've hooked a piece of Sulky Tear Easy. It's very lightweight stabilizer, tearaway stabilizer. And I put in another piece, a scrap of tearaway, and it just happened to be large enough for it to catch in the hoop, barely. And I folded a piece of 5 1/4 inch, sorry, I'm trying to hold this in, 5 1/4 inch fabric in half and crease the edges, and I fold it in half the other way and crease the edges. And I'm centering my creases with the notches on my hoop. Okay, and I've included a basting stitch on this design, sorry, and it will go around and baste. So the first stitch is a basting stitch. That's this yellow. You can put in pink because that's the first stitch that's going to stitch out, which is his socks down here. Sorry, I'm got a lot of allergies going on. And so it's this basting stitch is going to be taken out. All right, and so the first thing it's going to do is go around and stitch a basting stitch. So one of the things I like to do is I like to go to my where I can see each step of my design. And once I've gotten to the beginning, the first step, I like to go in to where I can tell it I want to go to the first stitch. So I just press my plus 1, and it takes me to where it's going to start stitching. So I haven't used any spray glue or spray adhesive or anything. I just let it stitch. I think you can see that basting line. So the first stitch, like I said, is his little socks, which are right here. Whoop, my thread came out. Okay, so when my thread came out, it had already done some stitching, and I backed up to the beginning of where it would start stitching his sock. I'm going to hold that thread down. Sorry, I don't have my tripod set up, so I'm trying to do this while holding it. I'm going to cut that. Had to cut that long thread from this first sock. This is the 4x4 size that I'm stitching out as a test, just to to make sure everything stitches right. And now I have to change to my first color, which is his shoes, which is right here. So now the soles of his shoes has popped up as the next thing to stitch out. So I'm going to change colors.
And then once they buy the house, they...
All right, so it's now stitched the soles of the shoes. And I'm going to change thread. It wants to stitch. The next thing it's going to stitch is his beard. Let's see up here, his beard. And I'll change threads and stitch that and be back. Alright, so instead of stitching his beard in white, I'm just going to stitch it out in a really light gray. Sorry. So once again, it's doing the underlay on his beard. I'll be back when it's finished stitching. Okay, his beard is finished stitching out. And the next step is the egg. Now it has a programmable stitch on it. It has a little design. So it takes a little bit longer to stitch. Alright, I want to show you it's stitching that programmable stitch on the egg. Finished. I'm going to change thread, and sorry, I'm panning over, and it's going to stitch the hat now. Alright, I changed my thread to blue. You can use whatever colors you want on this. And it's once again doing the underlay for the hat. I'll be back. I wanted to show you the total stitch out time is 18 minutes and we're halfway finished. Okay. Alright, it's finished the hat and I'm going to pan, and now it's going to do the gloves. And I'm going to use a different color blue for the gloves. Alright, I did his hat and his shoes in the same blue. I know they don't look like it, but I did. And I did a little different on his gloves and did a little darker blue. Not quite as dark as the soles of his shoes. So I'm using the same color for the brim of his hat as I used for the sole of his shoes. Once again, it puts down the underlay, and now it's going to stitch the brim of his hat. Let's finish the brim of his hat, and then the next step is his nose. Just panning over his little nose. Let's see where the cursor is. Alright, I chose a light cream for the bunny ears, and it's just about finished with the one on the left. There we go. My husband never talks, wants to talk until I'm making a video. Okay. And so now we're doing the other bunny ear. Alright, the bunny ears are just about done. It's stitched the left-hand side and getting ready to finish up the right bunny ear. And this is the last step. So there's 12 steps. Back back up, sorry. 12 steps to this little bunny gnome. And just about done. And the bunny gnome has finished stitching. Now I'll go around and remove these, this basting stitch and give him a press. So I go from the back to remove the basting stitches. And just wanted you to know that in case anybody is interested. All right, when I go through and pick the basting stitches, I pick out about every 5th stitch, which makes it pretty easy then when I go to the front. See if I can do this with one hand. Back out and see, it just, everything just comes right up. It's easier when you have the ability to hold down the, okay. But you get the idea. See, I'm just about finished. Whoops, I'm just about finished. There you go. All the way around, except where it stitched when it started, so. All right, I've removed my stabilizer off the back. I have this part that I can save, and maybe a couple of these edges in case I need to, some small scraps. And I'm going to take him over to my pressing mat and give him a press. One of the things I've learned in doing embroidery is when you press, you want to press from the back. Before the day of these wool pressing mats, which is what I have, this is just a little thin sheet of muslin that I put over it to keep from getting starch on the mat, and it's pretty thin. I would take a fluffy towel, fold it in half and fold it in half again, and put my design face down on the fluffy towel and steam press. Okay, I don't use that method anymore because of this wool mat. So let me get him pressed out. All right, so here he is pressed. I haven't trimmed yet. So I gave him a misting on the back side, misted real good. I pressed from the center out, center up, center out. Okay. And then after he was pressed, he still had a few little crinkles around here. So I got my spray, my Tearaway Magic that I use, and I sprayed, give him a little misting of that. And I took the point of my iron and just went around the edges. Okay. Just right around the edges to get any of those little crinkles out. And then after I did that, I just gave him a quick little steaming over, and there he is. So now I got to square him up. And there he is. I started out with a 5.5 inch square, and he's now 5.25 inch, I believe. So he ended up 5.25 inch square. I started out with 5.5 inch square. And there you go. That's how you do it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Don't forget, thumbs up, like, and share. Thank you.